Hello and welcome to SegMate. Before you guys dive in and start using the service, there's a couple of things that I want to review with you that are extremely important, and that being Facebook's policies about what types of messages can be sent through Messenger. Now, adhering to these policies is not only going to protect the SegMate app, but it's also going to protect you, your Facebook account, and your fan pages. Okay, so we want to make sure that we are adhering to these specific types of messages that you can send, and I'm going to review those with you right now. Now, SegMate does take into consideration some controls around what you're sending. We do monitor what types of messages are being sent and how you are using those messages so that we can be sure that we're also compliant with Facebook, okay? So let's get started. There's two different types of messages that are allowed to be sent in Facebook Messenger. One is called standard messaging, and the other is called subscription messaging. Okay, so let's start with standard messaging and just kind of review here what Facebook tells us. Okay, it says businesses using Messenger has up to 24 hours to respond to a message sent by a person in Messenger when using standard messaging. A bot may also send one additional message after the 24-hour time limit has expired. That 24-hour limit is refreshed each time the person responds to a business through one of the eligible actions listed here, which we're going to go ahead and take a look at. So the eligible actions are: a person sends a message to your business, to your fan page. A person starts a conversation via a call to action button within Messenger, within a conversation, which really falls to our chat engage, where we are allowed to put calls to action inside of those conversations. The next thing we have are a person starts a conversation via a plugin such as Send to Messenger, Checkbox plugin. Another is the m.me links. So if a user begins the conversation that way, you are okay to go ahead and send them standard messaging. And the last one here is a person starts a conversation via an ad. Okay, so now that's where our ad engage feature comes into play in creating those types of messages. Okay, so as you begin to go through all the tutorials that we have, you're going to start to learn how you can use these things. Okay, but let's talk a little bit more about standard messaging. Okay, now there's some usage guidelines here. Let's see here. So the promotional content is allowed for standard messaging. It is not allowed for subscription messaging, okay? And we're going to get into subscription messaging here in just a second. So what we can do is, I would give a good example of this, or a way to do so, is really with any of the plugins that we use. We always want to ask their permission. So let's just say we're using one of our features called Post Engage, okay, where you're allowed to send a message back to a user who comments with a certain keyword. Now, if they do that and it triggers, the message will be sent to them. Okay, and what you want to do is really prompt them and ask them. Okay, so let's just say that the post that you set up is the Post Engage campaign that you set up is for a post where you say, hey, for this great free gift, comment I'm in below in the comment section, and I will contact you to deliver that free gift to you. Okay, so when that happens and the user then comments whatever keyword you've wanted them to comment with, and it's set up properly in SegMate, the user will get that message. Now, that message we always suggest is to ask them permission. Okay, ask them permission or ask them a question to get them to respond back. Okay, so you're asking them for permission. Now, Facebook doesn't require that you do that. However, that's just good marketing. All right, and it's a way for us all to protect each other and stay adherent to the Facebook terms of service. Okay, so now when that message is sent, we may want to say something like, do I have permission to give you your free gift? If so, type yes below or reply yes. And of course they're going to say yes, right? So they go ahead, they type yes. That's going to go ahead and fire off your message. Okay, it's going to fire off the message to deliver that free gift. All right, so that's kind of one way that you can use this. Now, let's talk a little bit about the 24, they call it right here, the 24+1 policy. Okay, so what this means is that once you start an engagement with a person on Messenger, you have 24 hours to get them to respond, okay, and for you to respond as well. So if they don't do that in 24 hours, you have one more chance to get them to engage with you on Messenger, and when that happens, that 24-hour limit is then refreshed, okay. So let's just talk about what happens if the 24-hour limit and +1 expires. Well, at that point, it's really out of SegMate's hands, and that's all on Facebook. And what Facebook is going to do is not deliver the message to that subscriber if they're not seeing the engagement based on their policy. Okay, so again, that's something that Facebook has put into place themselves and will restrict that message from being sent. And Facebook is we're very involved in the developer forums for Facebook, just kind of keeping track because things change and it's so fluid with Facebook that we want to try to stay on top of everything. Okay, so and we're gonna do our best to do that for you, but it is your responsibility to follow these terms of service. Okay, that'll keep your accounts safe and SegMate safe as well. So let's go ahead and just touch on the subscription messaging, okay? Now, subscription messaging it must fall into specific use cases, okay? And those use cases are news, productivity, and personal trackers. In news, its primary purpose is to inform people about recent or important events in categories such as sports, finance, business, real estate, weather, traffic, politics, entertainment. The next we have is productivity. Okay, so this is where you're reminding people about their personal productivity with tasks such as managing calendar events, receiving reminders, paying bills. There's also the personal trackers use case. Okay, and this is to monitor about categories like fitness, health, wellness, and finance. Okay, so. I guess one kind of example of this is maybe the best way for you to use subscription is this. Now, before I jump into that, actually, let me jump ahead here. Is that the subscription content can be sent outside of that 24-hour messaging window. Okay, that's the big thing. There's two big things between the difference between subscription and standard. That being one of them. The next is that there is no promotional content allowed in subscription messages. Okay, you cannot promote with coupons, anything like that inside if you're sending out subscription-based messaging. Okay, so an example of that may be, let's say you have a weekly call that you allow new users to your website or your blog or your Facebook page, whatever it may be, that you hold a daily, a weekly, a monthly free call for people to jump on, and you can talk about your services. So the best way to do that is to get them introduced to something like that is maybe using the checkbox plugin feature or the m.me link feature, and let them know on your blog or your post and say, hey, if you are interested in jumping on a free weekly call, go ahead and click below, and we'll get you set up. Okay, so what'll happen at that point is they're going to click that button, which is one of the entryways into Messenger. Okay, so that's a totally legal and good way to get people onto your subscriber list. Okay, now what you're going to do at that point when they click that button is SegMate's going to allow you to go ahead and send them a message. Okay, and you can ask them, and this is again just a suggested way to do it, is ask them, would you like to be on the daily call, the weekly call, or the monthly call? All right, and you have those three buttons available for them to choose from. Now, within SegMate, you're going to be able to tag those buttons to find out which option people want. Okay, and then we can get them into an actual sequence. Now, all of that we go more into in the tutorials below, as well as some training that we're coming out with our master bot class. We're going to show you a lot of different ways to use it. But that is one way to get people set up on subscription-based content. Okay, now at that point, what you're going to do is you're only going to send them messages that do not contain promotion material. Okay, you're going to send them to say something like, hey, the weekly call is starting, in 10 minutes. Go ahead and click here to get on. Okay, and you're going to put your little button in there, and you're going to let that go. Now, what you can do is set that up on a sequence so that the particular people who have chosen daily, weekly, monthly, can all be put into that sequence and begin to receive those messages from you, either reminding them that the call is coming up or that the call has started, whatever it may be. That's just one simple example of how you can use subscription messaging, okay? Now, again, very important to know is that you cannot send promotional content through subscription messaging, but you can send things 24 hours outside of that 24-hour window, that 24+1 policy as we reviewed here for standard messaging. So I'm going to go ahead and put this link right below this video so you guys can come into this page that I'm on right now, and you can see and read exactly for yourself, how Facebook handles these types of messages, as well as how SegMate is beginning to to apply some controls around the types of messagings that we can send. Okay? So thanks very much. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us at SegMate app. At support@segmateapp.com.